going to show you the latest reincarnation of my preset pack for the Fractal Audio FM9. You may know that I'm offering preset packs with the best high gain tones ever for all the modeling units on the market, and recently I was dialing in some kick-ass presets basically for front of house direct live usage with some amps which I didn't use in the past for the Fractal Audio FM9 and also for the AxeFx III, and today I would like to show you a couple of these presets that come with the next version of the preset pack. So as I said, it's for the FM9 and for the AxeFx III. I don't know if these presets will work on the FM3, so I got asked that question, but honestly I cannot say. I think maybe the FM3 is not powerful enough, but at least some of the presets or settings you could use on your FM3. Anyway, here's the editor, and I was playing one preset in the intro with a Soldano amp. So let me briefly explain how these presets work. So usually what you have in the first scene is plain rhythm tone. So let me go to the initial state of the preset. It's this. And in this preset, as it is an 80s preset, there is the delay engaged, as you can see here. And I'm using the 2290, but in a setting that it's more or less creating a chorus effect. So without the chorus, so that is the plain rhythm tone, and as you can see here, what is engaged is a multiband compression that is usually reducing the lower mids when chugging, so the old anti-sneak trick compressor, which does compression, which is good for live usage certain situations, and most important, of course, the amp and the cap. So the amp block you can check out by yourself, and in the cap section, it's very important that you use this IR, which comes with the preset pack. As you can see here, there's a low cut engaged and no high cut. It sounds very dark maybe when playing in your room, but at loud volumes it sounds kick-ass and very fat. And also, maybe you find some of the presets a little bit bass heavy, then I'd recommend to play around with the low cut, but the reason for that is if you want to have a fat live tone, you need these, not necessarily bass frequencies below 100 Hz, but maybe around maybe 100 or 200 Hz. They can tend to get muddy, but if they're not there, then you don't have this huge ass chugs. Instead you have just some thin fizzy sounding scratch. Anyway, so in the other scenes, I find basically scene 2 and scene 3 different settings of the delay. One very long, and on scene 3 my usual lead delay. And then the other scenes are usually some other sounds which may not differ that much from preset to preset. So here it's a light crunch tone, the plexi, and here on the scene 6 you have usually my clean scene, which doesn't use an amp. And there's also the plex delay, which you could use. I did that in the intro, but I think it isn't engaged automatically for the shimmer effect. But I'd recommend to, check out the scenes, and here is my my layout of the foot switches for the FM9. As you can see here, I have one where you can select the scenes layout, and if you're using this, then well, here you have rhythm, pad delay, light crunch, flanger, tremolo, clean, and clean lead, which is basically clean tone but without the chorus. So the clean tones are designed for the neck humbucker. Sound nice with the bridge humbucker too, but I'm usually playing on the neck humbucker but in the split mode. Neck single coil works also very well. So anyway, let's go back and check out some of the presets. So maybe we could start here. And as I said, I'm using some amps which I didn't try out before. So this is one of these, the Bogner Stratofish. Reminds me a lot of the Custom Audio and Electronics the one that Megadeth were using on the Euthanasia album. Or also the Rockdrum Piranha preamp. And the thing with that IR is it eliminates the nasty, harsh frequencies which can get annoying in a live situation. There's another preset using the Bogner Brown Fish. I don't know if it's a fish preamp, but just call it that. Sounds pretty similar, but very nice lead amp. Comes with lots of low mids. Of course, you can dial these out here. I did that already, as you can see. But if it's too much for you, I recommend here the 250 region. And okay, it's called brown. It doesn't sound like the well, this Eddie Van Halen brown tone with lots of scratchiness. Instead, more like a tamed lead tone. But it sounds good in my ears. Then another amp which I didn't use before, the orange Tiny Terror, I think. And these small amps, usually they have a little bit less bass frequencies. Also the model here. I don't know. Depends on your front of house system. If you need more bass frequencies, of course you can use the depth here to get some of these frequencies back. Also very nice sounding amp. VH4, of course. One of my favorite high gain amps. By the way, I'm using the boost function which is built in the amp block. So here it's the Super OD. In some presets it might be the 808. Depends on the amp. What else? Well, okay, there's also one important thing which I forgot to mention, and that is here the enhancer block. That is doing the stereo widener effect. Which Patricia is using. I like to use that a lot when playing at home, at least. Not for live. Live it's completely different. Also for recording, it can cause some strange phasing issues. And as you can see here, it has a scene ignore feature engaged. So if you turn that on, it will be engaged for all the scenes. But it will be disengaged per default and most of the scenes, so you can use it if you like it. JCM 800, a little bit less gain. Here it is engaged, for these 80s chorus tone. Of course, you could also use here the delay. You find the 2290 setting on the C. And also I included some presets which are for crunch usage. Well, here you have the Wrecker crunch. Wrecker is also an amp which I didn't use. I can't remember any time where I used this amp model, but it sounded so full and nice in this crunch setting. Of course, for vintage rock songs or something, a live situation, I think this will work pretty well. And you don't have to EQ that much. I think it will work with most of the front of house systems. If not everything you need, I think you can do it here on the ideal page or using the output EQ. By the way, here in some situations I was choosing another output EQ. The 7-band is addressing different frequencies, and also the Mesa amps, they tailor to the Mesa 5-band graphic EQ. But you can check that out by yourself, I think. That is a good point. Here we have one preset with the Mesa Mark IV. Crunch preset, also very nice. Let me see what I can play with that. And then with the same amp, but a little bit more distortion, setting, favorite high gain. And as I said, all these amps, or most of these amps, are amps that are pretty new to me, so I was very inspired to dial in some good tones, and my procedure was just taking the next amp in the in the list which I didn't use ever and which is maybe a high gain amp. And if it didn't sound good at stock settings, then I skipped it. So I ended up using all the ones which sounded pretty nice, even at stock settings, and then I tweaked them, of course. And for example, I didn't include the Recto or the Angus Savage because these are amps which I used in the past and they are quite familiar to me, but different from most of the amps that I used here. What else do we have? So we have here these the Rev, the Shiva. Of course, we have the Friedman and the Uber, which I used before, but the Captain Hook, the Rev, the Shiva, Sprawn. These are amps which are completely new to me. So maybe let's choose the Rev. I don't know about that amp, but I think it's maybe a high gain amp for metal. Sounds pretty scooped to me, but I think that is maybe what it's supposed to do. You can use a little bit more mids if you would like to have a single lead tone. And this Shiva lead is also something which was very surprising to me. It sounded pretty nice for, well, vintage lead tones. Fat 80s rock leads without any annoying frequencies. By the way, I left the reverb engaged in most of the presets, I think, but for live usage I would disengage the reverbs in general, I think. And last but not least, we have something, of course, my main rhythm lead tone with the Atomica. I have to rename them. This will be the Atomica, I think. And then similar ones with the 5150. And one with the JVM. And that was pretty interesting to me, how the JVM compares to the Atomica, because the Atomica is, from what I know, also some kind of hot-rodded Marshall amp. And here I'm using I think the OD1, the SD1, sorry, as a boost for the JVM. And maybe you can hear it. Compared to the Atomica. It has some, the JVM has more of these upper mids or treble frequencies around 3K, I think. You don't hear that much if you're playing chords, but if you're playing something like that, JVM sounds more percussive. Of course, it could have to do something with the SD1, but this was the best sound I could get out of the JVM. And for some guitars, maybe this would work better. So there you go. I hope you like these tones, and if you do so, then please contact me on Facebook or Instagram, and then you can get my preset packs. And also, of course, I offer preset packs for all the other modeling units on the market. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. It's very appreciated. It helps me a lot. My channel will grow then, and then I can buy more gear and compare it for you. And other than that, I hope to see you. Adios.